Sir, that bottle feels lighter than yesterday. The voice was quiet, but it stopped Alessandro Moretti before the pill ever reached his lips. Inside the private medicine room of the Moretti estate, everything was designed to feel controlled. The polished walnut cabinets were perfectly aligned. The silver clock on the wall ticked with exact precision. The morning light passed through the tall windows overlooking the private gardens. Nothing in Alex Moretti's world was supposed to be uncertain. Not his business, not his security, not his decisions, and especially not his medicine. The 48-year-old man stood beside the marble counter, dressed in a black tailored suit, one hand holding a small amber prescription bottle that he had opened every morning for years. Then he looked down and saw Maya Johnson standing a few feet away. She was 9 years old, wearing a simple school uniform beneath an oversized sweater, her old backpack resting beside her on the floor. She was the daughter of Elena Johnson, one of the house staff. She was not supposed to interrupt him. She was not supposed to speak during his morning routine. And yet she was the only person in the room looking at the bottle instead of looking at him. Alex slowly lowered his hand. "What did you say?" Maya swallowed. She knew she had crossed a line. Her mother had always told her that important people did not like being questioned. But Maya also knew something else. When something changed, she noticed. "I said the bottle feels lighter, sir," she repeated softly. "The bottle?" Alex asked. His voice was calm, but everyone in the room could feel the warning behind it. Maya nodded. "Yes, sir." She did not step closer. She did not grab anything. She simply pointed. "That one feels different." Before Alex could answer, the door opened. Victoria Moretti entered the room wearing a cream-colored dress and the same gentle expression everyone in the house trusted. She looked like someone who belonged beside Alex, someone who knew his habits better than anyone. "Alessandro, what happened?" she asked. Then her eyes moved to Maya. For a brief second, her expression changed. It was only a moment, less than a second, but Alex noticed. "Why is the maid's daughter touching your medicine?" Victoria asked. Maya immediately stepped back. "I didn't touch it without permission," she said. "I only held it because I noticed something." Elena Johnson hurried into the doorway, her face filled with worry. "Mr. Moretti, I'm sorry. Maya should not have interrupted you." Alex looked from Elena to Maya. He had seen fear many times in his life. Fear from employees. Fear from competitors. Fear from people who wanted something from him. But this was different. Maya was not afraid of him. She was afraid of being wrong. "Explain," Alex said. Maya looked at the bottle again. "Every morning, when you open it, it makes a sound." Alex stared at her. "A sound?" "Yes, sir." She nodded. "The pills move inside when you shake it before taking one. I hear it when I clean the table nearby." Victoria gave a small smile. "Alessandro, she is a child. She may have misunderstood." Alex did not respond immediately. He looked at the bottle in his hand. Then he looked at Maya. A child had not accused anyone. She had not made a dramatic claim. She had not asked for anything. She had only noticed one small thing that nobody else had noticed. Alex slowly shook the bottle. The sound was faint, normal, almost impossible to question. "And what exactly changed?" he asked. Maya looked at him carefully. "I don't know, sir." Her voice became even quieter. "I just know it is not the same." For the first time that morning, Alessandro Moretti did not feel like the most powerful person in the room. He felt like a man standing beside a question he could not ignore. He placed the bottle back on the counter instead of taking the pill. Victoria watched silently. Maya lowered her eyes. And somewhere inside that perfectly controlled mansion, a small detail had just created the first crack in a world built on trust. The room was quiet, but nobody felt comfortable anymore. Alessandro Moretti had not taken his morning medicine. The small amber bottle remained on the marble counter between him and the people who had spent years telling him they protected him. Maya Johnson stood near her mother, holding the edge of her old sweater sleeve, waiting to see what would happen next. She had not expected attention. She had not expected everyone to look at her. She only knew that something about the bottle felt wrong. Victoria Moretti stepped closer, her expression calm and concerned. "Alessandro, this is becoming unnecessary," she said gently. "The medicine has been checked many times. The label is correct. The prescription is correct. The pharmacy records are correct." Her voice was smooth, the same voice she used whenever she wanted to make a problem disappear without making anyone feel uncomfortable. Alex looked at her for a moment. Victoria had always been good at handling situations. She remembered appointments. She organized schedules. She knew which meetings mattered and which details others forgot. That was exactly why her reaction caught his attention. She was not asking why Maya was worried. She was explaining why Maya was wrong. "Bring Adrian here," Alex said. Within minutes, Dr. Adrian Cole arrived at the medicine room. He was the private pharmacist who managed Alex's prescriptions for years. He carried a professional folder, wearing the same confident expression he always wore when discussing Alex's health. He checked the bottle, the label, and the prescription information. Everything appeared normal. "Mr. Moretti, there is no issue with this medication," Adrian said. "The bottle matches the records. The prescription is active. The dosage is correct." Alex listened carefully. He did not interrupt. He did not accuse anyone. But he also did not take the pill. Maya watched quietly from the corner. She understood that nobody believed her yet. Elena looked embarrassed and nervous. She knew how powerful the Moretti family was. She knew one mistake could change everything for them. "Maya," Elena whispered, "you need to apologize if you frightened Mr. Moretti." Maya looked at her mother. She wanted to make things easier for her. She wanted to say sorry and walk away. But then she looked back at the bottle. "I am sorry if I scared anyone," Maya said softly, "but I do not think I am wrong." The room became silent again. Alex looked at the little girl standing in front of him. She was not demanding attention. She was not trying to impress him. She was simply holding on to something she believed was true. "Why are you so sure?" Alex asked. Maya took a small breath. "Because I see this bottle almost every day." She pointed carefully toward the counter, not touching it. "When you finish your coffee, you open it. You shake it once. Then you take one pill. I hear it from the hallway when I help my mother." Adrian crossed his arms slightly. "You are saying you recognize the sound of medication?" Maya nodded. "Not the medicine itself. The bottle." That answer made Alex pause. It was not a medical explanation. It was not a scientific argument. It was something simpler. A child had noticed a routine everyone else ignored. Victoria gave another polite smile. "Alessandro, I think we are giving this too much importance." Alex turned toward her. "Maybe." He looked back at Maya. "Or maybe we are not giving it enough." He picked up the bottle and placed it inside a small drawer instead of putting it back in his pocket. "Nobody touches this until I say so." For the first time, Victoria's calm expression became slightly harder to read. It disappeared quickly, but Alex saw it. A small change. A small reaction. Another detail. Maya had noticed the bottle. Now Alex was beginning to notice the people around it. He walked out of the medicine room without taking his usual pill, leaving everyone behind with one uncomfortable question hanging in the air. If nothing was wrong, why did someone look afraid when he stopped trusting the bottle? The amber bottle sat inside the locked drawer of Alessandro Moretti's office, untouched for the rest of the morning. For most people, that small bottle would have meant nothing. It was just a prescription container sitting among thousands of other details in a powerful man's life. But Alex Moretti had built his entire world around noticing what others missed. In his business, small changes mattered. A different number on a document. A different person standing near a door. A different answer to a simple question. And now, for the first time in years, a 9-year-old girl had made him question something he had trusted every single day. Alex stood behind his large wooden desk, looking at the bottle through the glass panel of the drawer. Across from him, Dr. Adrian Cole reviewed the medical information again. "Mr. Moretti, I understand your concern, but I want to be clear. The prescription is legitimate. The pharmacy records are clean. There is no obvious problem. Alex looked at him. You keep saying obvious. Adrian paused. Because that is what the records show. Alex leaned back slightly. Records can show what people enter. They do not always show what people change. The room became quiet. Adrian closed the folder slowly. He knew Alex was not accusing him yet. But he also knew Alex Moretti did not ignore unusual details. Meanwhile, Maya sat outside the office with her mother, Elena. The little girl held her old backpack on her lap. She was not crying. She was not angry. She simply looked worried. Elena sat beside her and spoke softly. Maya, you know you did the right thing by telling the truth. But you must understand, people like Mr. Moretti live in a world where everyone wants something from them. Maya looked down. I did not want anything.
Elena smiled sadly.
I know. That was the part that worried Elena most. Maya had spoken up even though there was nothing to gain. Inside the office, Alex called Maya back in. She stood near the doorway, waiting. Come here, Maya, he said. She walked closer but stopped several feet away. Alex noticed that. She was careful. She was not trying to be brave in a way that ignored danger. She was simply being honest. You said this bottle sounds different, Alex said. Show me what you mean. Maya looked at him, then at the drawer. Can I see the old bottle? Alex opened a different locked cabinet and removed an empty amber bottle from a previous prescription. It looked almost identical. Same color, same size, same label style. He placed both bottles on the desk. Maya did not touch them immediately. She looked at Alex first. He nodded. Go ahead. She picked up the first bottle. She shook it gently. Then she picked up the second one. She shook it the same way. The difference was small. So small that nobody in the room would have noticed unless they were listening for it. This one is different, Maya said. Adrian stepped closer. Different how? Maya placed the bottle down carefully. The old one sounds fuller. Alex looked at Adrian. Then he looked at the two bottles. Count them. Adrian hesitated. Now. A few minutes later, the number appeared on the report. The current bottle contained fewer pills than the previous prescription should have had at this point. Not one or two missing. Enough to create a question. Enough to make everyone stop pretending there was nothing unusual. Alex did not look shocked. He did not raise his voice. But the room felt colder. Because Maya had not discovered a mistake. She had discovered a pattern. How long? Alex asked. Adrian looked uncomfortable. I do not know. Alex turned toward the bottle. Then find out. Maya watched silently. She had done the only thing she knew how to do. She noticed something wrong. But now the adults around her had to answer the harder question. If the bottle had been changing for a long time, who had been close enough to change it without anyone noticing? For the first time in years, Alessandro Moretti did something almost impossible for a man like him. He waited. He did not make accusations. He did not call a meeting. He did not demand answers from the people around him. He simply watched. The amber bottle remained locked inside his office while every person in the Moretti estate continued their day as if nothing had changed. But Alex noticed something different now. He noticed who looked at the bottle. He noticed who avoided talking about it. He noticed who asked questions too quickly. The smallest reactions became information. Later that afternoon, Alex called Victoria into his office. She walked in with the same calm confidence she always carried. Alessandro, I hope you know I only want what is best for you, she said. Alex looked at her carefully. I know. Victoria smiled slightly. Then you understand why this situation with the medicine should not become bigger than it is. Alex folded his hands on the desk. Should not become bigger? Victoria paused. A child noticed something unusual. That does not mean there is a problem. Alex looked toward the locked drawer. Maybe. But ignoring unusual things is how people miss important details. Victoria remained composed. But Alex noticed the smallest change in her expression. Not fear. Not panic. Something closer to frustration. She had expected him to dismiss Maya. He had not. That mattered. After Victoria left, Alex called his security director and gave a simple instruction. I want the access records for the medicine room from the last 6 months. The security director looked surprised. The medicine room, sir? Yes. Is there a concern? Alex looked at him. I asked for records, not opinions. Within an hour, the information arrived. The medicine room was supposed to be one of the most controlled areas in the house. Only a few people had access. Alex, his personal medical staff,
Victoria.
and Adrian Cole. The list looked normal at first, almost too normal. Then Alex noticed something. Every time the medicine was replaced, someone had entered the room shortly before the delivery was recorded. The timing was consistent, too consistent. Alex printed the schedule and placed it beside the bottle. He needed more than suspicion. He needed proof. The next morning, he decided to create a test. He removed the original bottle from the drawer and placed a different empty bottle in the same location. It looked identical from the outside. Same color, same shape, same label design. Then he gave one instruction to 3 different people.
Victoria.
Adrian. Marco Moretti, his younger brother. The replacement medication will arrive tomorrow afternoon, Alex said casually during breakfast. Until then, no one needs to make any changes. He watched carefully. Victoria simply nodded. Adrian said he understood.
Marco barely reacted.
It seemed like nothing had happened. But Alex knew information moved quickly in his world. Sometimes faster than people realized. That evening, Alex stayed in his office longer than usual. Maya passed by the hallway while helping her mother and noticed the door was slightly open. She saw Alex looking at papers spread across his desk. She did not enter. She did not ask questions. She simply noticed something. Mr. Moretti? She said quietly from the doorway. Alex looked up. Yes, Maya? She pointed toward the papers. You are looking for the person who changed the bottle. Alex studied her. How do you know that? Maya looked down for a moment. Because you stopped looking at the medicine. Alex raised an eyebrow. Maya continued. Now you are looking at people. For a moment, Alex said nothing. A child had understood the shift before many adults would have. He looked back at the documents. You are very observant. Maya nodded. My mom says noticing things can help you stay safe. Alex did not answer immediately. Then his phone rang. It was the security director. The voice on the other end was serious. Mr. Moretti, we found something unusual in the access records. Alex stood still. What? Pause followed. Someone entered the medicine room at 2:13 in the morning 3 separate times. But those visits were never included in the official schedule. Alex looked toward the locked drawer, then toward the hallway where Maya had just walked away. The bottle was no longer the only mystery. Now the question was who had been moving through his house when everyone believed they were invisible. The message from the security director changed the atmosphere inside Alessandro Moretti's office. For a moment, Alex said nothing. He simply looked at the access report displayed on his computer screen. 3 unauthorized entries. The same medicine room. The same unusual time. 2:13 in the morning. Whoever entered that room had not made a mistake. They had moved carefully, believing nobody would ever notice. Alex leaned back in his chair and looked at the amber bottle sitting inside the locked drawer. A few days earlier, it had been just another part of his routine. Now it had become the first piece of a puzzle that reached deeper into his own home. Who had access during those hours? Alex asked. We are checking now, the security director replied. But there is something else you should see. A second file appeared on the screen. It showed the delivery records from Adrian Cole's pharmacy. At first glance, everything looked normal. Dates matched. Signatures matched. Quantities appeared. Correct. But Alex had learned something important. The most dangerous things were often hidden inside details that looked ordinary. He opened the delivery history and compared the dates with the medicine room entries. The pattern appeared slowly. Every time a new bottle arrived, someone accessed the room before the official delivery was recorded. Alex did not need to say anything. He understood. Someone had been preparing the room before anyone else knew there was a reason to prepare it. The next morning, Alex called Adrian Cole to the estate. The pharmacist entered the office carrying his usual folder, but this time his confidence seemed weaker. "Mr. Moretti, I received your request," Adrian said. Alex placed the records on the desk. "I want you to explain something." Adrian looked down. "Of course. Why were there medicine room entries that do not match the official replacement schedule?" Adrian became quiet for a moment. It was only a moment, but Alex noticed. "I would have to review that information," Adrian said. Alex watched him carefully. "You have reviewed this information before. You just did not expect me to see it." Adrian looked away. That was the first answer Alex received without words. But Alex still needed more. He needed proof that could not be explained away. "Tell me what happened," Alex said. Adrian took a slow breath. "I did not create the situation alone." The sentence changed everything. Alex remained calm. "Who asked you?" Adrian looked toward the office door. "If I tell you, my life changes." Alex replied, "Your life already changed when you decided to hide information from me." Adrian lowered his eyes. Victoria knew about the medication changes. The room became completely silent. Alex did not move. He had suspected many possibilities. But hearing her name was different. Victoria was not an employee. She was not an outsider. She was someone who sat beside him at dinner. Someone who knew his schedule. Someone who knew when he was tired, when he was distracted, and when he would never question a familiar routine. But Alex did not react with anger. He reacted with control. "What exactly did she ask you to do?" Adrian hesitated. "She never said she wanted you harmed." Alex looked at him. "Then what did she want?" Adrian finally answered. "She wanted you weaker." The words stayed in the room. Not a sudden attack. Not an obvious threat. Something quieter. Something designed to slowly change the balance of power around him. Later that afternoon, Maya walked past Alex's office carrying a stack of folded towels with her mother. She noticed the door was open and saw the bottle on the desk. She stopped for a second. "Mr. Moretti?" Alex looked up. "Yes." Maya pointed at the bottle. "Did you find the answer?" Alex looked at her. "I found part of it." Maya nodded slowly. "Sometimes part of the answer is what tells you where to look next." Alex almost smiled. The words were simple, but they were true. That evening, the investigation continued. Security recovered a deleted message from Adrian's phone. It was short, only a few words. "Keep the schedule. Do not change anything until I say." Alex read it twice. The message did not prove everything. It did not explain every detail, but it confirmed one thing. The bottle was not a mistake. The change was planned. And now Alex knew the person closest to him might not have been protecting his health. She might have been protecting her future. For the first time in many years, Alessandro Moretti looked at his own home as if he were a stranger walking through it. The walls were the same. The expensive paintings were the same. The security systems were the same. But the meaning behind everything had changed. The people around him were no longer just employees, family, or trusted advisors. They were possibilities. And Alex Moretti had learned that possibilities were more dangerous than enemies because they often wore familiar faces. The next morning, Alex sat in his private office with a stack of documents in front of him. The amber medicine bottle rested beside them. He had Adrian Cole's statement. He had the access records. He had the recovered message. But something still bothered him. Victoria had not acted like someone trying to destroy him. She had acted like someone preparing for a future where he was no longer in control. That meant there was a bigger plan. Alex called his legal advisor and requested a review of all recent changes involving his personal accounts, business authority, and family agreements. He did not mention Victoria's name. He did not want assumptions. He wanted facts. A few hours later, the first report arrived. There was a pattern. Several documents had been prepared quietly over the past months. They were not signed yet. They were not public. But they were ready. Alex looked through the pages carefully. The documents involved transferring temporary decision-making authority if he became unable to manage his responsibilities. On paper, it looked reasonable. It looked like a protection plan, a safety measure, something a caring family member might prepare. But the details told a different story. The person positioned to take control was Marco Moretti, Alex's younger brother, and the person who had helped organize the process was Victoria. Alex leaned back in his chair. The medicine had never been the entire plan. It was only the beginning. The goal was not to remove him overnight. The goal was to make everyone believe he was slowly losing the ability to lead. Then, when the time came, the transition would appear natural. That was the part that bothered him most. The plan was not built on chaos. It was built on patience. That afternoon, Alex found Maya sitting quietly in the kitchen while Elena prepared lunch for the staff. Maya was drawing in her small notebook. Alex noticed she had sketches of objects around the house. The old clock, the garden gate, the medicine bottle. "What are you writing down?" Alex asked. Maya looked up. "Things that change." Alex glanced at the notebook. "Why?" Maya shrugged. "Because people forget things. But things stay the same until someone changes them." Alex looked at her for a moment. It was a simple answer, but it explained why she had noticed the bottle. She paid attention because she did not assume anything was too small to matter. "Maya," Alex said, "when you noticed the bottle, why did you tell me?" She looked surprised by the question. "Because you were going to take it." Alex nodded. "And," Maya lowered her voice, "because if something feels wrong and you know it, you should say something." Alex looked away for a moment. He had spent years surrounded by people who calculated every word before speaking. Everyone wanted something. Everyone had a reason. But this child had spoken because she believed someone needed to hear the truth. Later that evening, Alex met with Adrian again. The pharmacist was nervous, but he brought new information. "There is one more thing," Adrian said. The medication replacement was not the only change. Alex looked at him. "What else?" Adrian placed a file on the table. Inside were records showing unusual requests connected to Alex's medical schedule. Someone had been monitoring when Alex was most distracted, when meetings were longest, and when security was less involved. Alex closed the file slowly. The situation was larger than a bottle. It was a carefully built system designed around his routines. He stood by the window overlooking the estate. For years, Alex Moretti believed control came from knowing everything. Now he understood something different. Control could disappear quietly while everyone around you smiled. His phone rang. It was the security director. "Mr. Moretti, we found the person who accessed the medicine room records after midnight." Alex looked at the clock. The answer he had been waiting for was finally coming. "Who was it?" he asked. There was a short pause. "Someone inside the house." Alex ended the call and looked back at the amber bottle. The first mystery had been what changed inside it. Now the real question was much harder. Who inside his own family had been changing everything around him? The words from the security director stayed in Alessandro Moretti's mind long after the phone call ended. Someone inside the house had accessed the medicine room records after midnight. Not a stranger. Not an outsider. Someone who knew the layout of the estate, understood the security system, and believed they belonged there. Alex stood alone in his office, looking through the window at the lights across the property. For years, this house had represented control. Every door had a lock. Every room had a camera. Every person had a role. But now he understood something. Uncomfortable. A person could follow every rule and still hide the truth. The next morning, Alex made a decision. He would not confront anyone yet. He would not allow anger to replace strategy. Instead, he would let everyone believe they were still ahead. He called Victoria into the office and acted exactly as he would have before all of this began. Calm, distant, controlled. "The doctor reviewed my medication situation," Alex said. Victoria looked relieved. "And," Alex paused, "there is nothing to worry about." It was the answer she wanted to hear. He saw the change immediately. The tension in her shoulders disappeared. Her confidence returned. "I knew everything would be fine," she said. "You have been under a lot of stress lately." Alex nodded. He allowed the conversation to end there. But inside, he had just learned something important. Victoria was not surprised by the idea that there had been a problem. She was relieved that he believed there was no problem anymore. Later that day, Alex met with his security team in a private room. They reviewed every piece of information again. The medicine bottle, the access records, the pharmacy reports, the deleted messages. He needed to understand the entire structure, not just one person. "I want everything connected," Alex said. "Not guesses, not rumors, facts." The team discovered something unusual in the property records. Adrian Cole had entered the medicine room, but he was not the only person involved. A second access authorization had been used to approve the schedule changes. The authorization belonged to Victoria's assistant. When Alex saw the name, he did not react. He simply wrote it down. The circle was getting smaller. That evening, Maya was helping her mother organize supplies in the kitchen when Alex passed by. He stopped for a moment. "Maya." She looked up. "Yes, sir?" Alex held a small notebook in his hand. It was the notebook where she wrote down things she noticed. "You keep records of changes?" Maya nodded. "Only things that seem important." Alex looked at the pages. She had written simple observations. A door that was usually open. A flower moved from one table to another. A delivery truck arriving at a different time. Small things that most people would ignore. But together they created a picture. "You understand," Alex said, "that noticing something does not always mean you know the whole story." Maya nodded. "I know." She looked at the medicine bottle on the counter. "That is why I only told you what I saw." Those words stayed with Alex. She had never claimed to know everything. She had never accused anyone. She had only given him a detail and allowed him to decide what it meant. That was the difference between observation and assumption. Later that night, Alex reviewed the security footage himself. He watched the same hallway again and again. At 2:13 in the morning, Adrian entered the medicine room. A few minutes later, Victoria's assistant entered the same area. But then Alex noticed something unexpected. Before either of them entered, another person had already been there. Someone who was not supposed to have access at all. The camera angle did not show the person clearly. Only a shadow passing near the door. Alex paused the footage. For the first time in days, he felt close to the truth. But the answer was not where he expected. The person who started the chain of events was not Adrian. It was not Victoria's assistant. Someone had opened the door before everyone else. Someone had created the opportunity. Alex looked at the frozen image on the screen. Then his phone received a new message from his legal team. They had found a document connected to the upcoming family meeting. A document that could change everything. Alex opened the file. It was a draft agreement showing that if he was declared unable to lead, control would transfer immediately. He looked at the signature page. The names were clear.
Victoria. Marco.
And one more person who made Alex finally understand the size of the plan. The people trying to weaken him were not preparing for his absence. They were preparing for his replacement. The Moretti family meeting was scheduled for Friday morning, exactly 3 days after Alessandro Moretti discovered the agreement that was never supposed to reach his hands. The document sat on his desk inside a clear folder. It was not a final contract. It was a plan. A plan written by people who believed Alex would never see it. For years, Alessandro Moretti had built his reputation on being impossible to surprise. He had survived business conflicts, difficult negotiations, and years of people trying to predict his next move. But this was different. This was not a challenge from outside his world. It was a quiet plan created inside his own home. The morning of the meeting arrived, and the large family conference room was prepared exactly as always. The long wooden table, the carefully arranged chairs, the portraits of previous generations watching from the walls. This was where decisions were made. This was where people reminded each other who held power. Victoria arrived first. She wore the same calm expression she had worn every day. She greeted everyone warmly. She spoke about responsibility. She spoke about protecting the family. She spoke about stability. If someone had walked into the room without knowing the truth, they would have believed she was the person trying to save Alex's legacy. Marco Moretti sat beside her, quiet and confident. He looked like someone waiting for an opportunity that he believed had already arrived. Alex entered the room last. The conversation stopped immediately. Victoria looked surprised, but only for a second. "Alessandro, we were just discussing the next steps," she said. Alex placed a folder on the table. "I know." He sat down slowly. "That is why I am here."
Victoria smiled politely.
"We were concerned about your health. Everyone wants what is best for you." Alex looked around the room. "That is exactly what concerns me." The room became silent. He opened the folder. Inside were copies of the medicine records, the access reports, the pharmacy information, and the agreement prepared for transferring authority. Each piece by itself looked explainable. Together, they told a different story. Alex did not accuse anyone immediately. He simply placed the evidence in front of them one piece at a time. "A medicine bottle was changed," he said. "A schedule was adjusted. Access records were hidden. And while that was happening, documents were prepared to question my ability to lead." Marco leaned forward. "You are misunderstanding this." Alex looked at him. "Am I?" Marco stopped speaking. Then Victoria calmly answered. "You are connecting things that do not belong together." Alex nodded slightly. "That is what I expected you to say." He placed one final item on the table. The recovered message from Adrian. The room changed. Because unlike assumptions, messages could not be explained away easily. Victoria looked at the paper. For the first time, her confidence weakened. Alex noticed. He had been watching that reaction from the beginning. "You knew," he said quietly. Victoria looked at him. "Knew what?" Alex leaned forward. "You knew the medicine was being changed." No one spoke. Then Alex opened another file. This one contained the access authorization from Victoria's assistant. The same authorization that allowed schedule adjustments in the medicine room. The evidence did not come from one source. It came from many small pieces that connected together. That was what made it impossible to ignore. At the back of the room, Elena stood near the doorway with Maya beside her. They had not come to participate in the family discussion. Alex had asked them to be there because he wanted the truth to be seen by everyone, including the person who first noticed it. Maya watched quietly. She did not look proud. She did not look like she wanted attention. She only looked relieved that people were finally listening. Alex turned toward her. "Maya." She looked up. "Yes, sir? Come here for a moment." She walked closer. Alex held up the amber bottle. "Tell them what you noticed." Maya looked at the room full of powerful adults. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she spoke. "I did not know who changed it. I did not know why. I only knew it was different." Her answer was simple, and that was exactly why it mattered. She had not created a story. She had not accused anyone. She had only told the truth she could prove. Alex looked around the room. Everyone here had a title, position, a reason people listened to them. He placed the bottle down. But the person who noticed what everyone else ignored was a child nobody thought was important.
Victoria
Looked away. The plan she had carefully built was falling apart, not because Alex had become more powerful, but because one small detail had survived. A detail she believed nobody would ever notice. And now the entire family had to face the truth. The question was no longer whether Alex had been deceived. The question was how many people were willing to admit they helped it happen. The conference room remained silent after Alessandro Moretti placed the amber bottle on the table. For years, this room had been where people came to protect their interests, defend their decisions, and prove their loyalty. But that morning was different. The truth was no longer hidden behind polite conversations and carefully chosen words. It was sitting in front of everyone. Victoria Moretti looked at the documents again. The access records, the pharmacy reports, The agreement prepared for transferring authority. The evidence was not one dramatic discovery. It was a series of small details that connected together. And that was what made it impossible to ignore. You are making a serious accusation based on incomplete information, Victoria said calmly. Her voice was steady, but Alex noticed something had changed. She was no longer trying to understand the problem. She was trying to control the conversation. Alex leaned back in his chair. That is interesting, he said, because when Maya first noticed something was wrong, everyone said she was only a child imagining things. Now that the evidence is here, the problem is not imagination anymore. No one answered. Adrian Cole sat quietly at the end of the table. He had already admitted his involvement. He knew there was no longer any reason to protect the people who had put him in that position. I should have spoken sooner, Adrian finally said. Everyone looked toward him. The medicine changes were not my idea. I followed instructions because I believed refusing would cost me my position. Victoria turned toward him. You are going to believe him? Alex looked at her.
No.
I am going to believe the evidence. That was the difference. Alex was no longer the man who trusted feelings or loyalty alone. He had learned the value of proof. The legal team had already prepared the next steps. The documents connected to the transfer of authority were suspended. The suspicious medical records were submitted for formal review. Adrian agreed to cooperate with the investigation into the unauthorized changes. Marco's role in the agreement was also examined. There would be consequences, but they would come through the proper systems, not through anger. That decision surprised many people in the room. They expected Alex Moretti to respond with the same cold power that had built his reputation. Instead, he chose something different. He chose accountability. After the meeting ended, Maya stood quietly in the hallway with Elena. She watched people leave the room. Some looked uncomfortable. Some looked ashamed. But for the first time since this began, nobody looked at her like she was just the maid's daughter. Alex walked toward them. Elena immediately lowered her head. Mr. Moretti, I hope this situation did not cause trouble for you. Alex stopped and looked at her. Elena, the trouble was never caused by your daughter. Elena looked surprised. Alex continued. Your daughter noticed something important because she was paying attention. That is not a problem. That is a strength. Maya looked at him. Did I do something wrong? Alex shook his head.
No, Maya.
You did something many adults are afraid to do. You told the truth when it would have been easier to stay quiet. For a moment, Maya said nothing. Then she looked at the bottle in his hand. Are you going to keep it? Alex looked down at the amber bottle. Yes. Why? She asked. Alex thought about the answer. A few days earlier, the bottle represented something he feared. A hidden problem inside his own home. Now it represented something else. A reminder that truth could come from unexpected places. Because I need to remember something, he said. Power does not mean you see everything. In the weeks that followed, changes came to the Moretti estate. The security procedures were updated. Medical access was reviewed. Employees were given a safer way to report concerns without fear of losing their jobs. Elena received a formal position with clear protections and a written agreement that recognized her years of work. Maya received support for her education, not as a reward for helping a powerful man, but because her curiosity and discipline deserved encouragement. Alex also changed. He still remained a serious and respected leader. He was still Alessandro Moretti, but he no longer believed that being powerful meant standing alone. One evening, he found Maya writing in her small notebook again. What are you writing now? He asked. Maya smiled slightly. Something that changed. Alex looked at her. What changed? She closed the notebook gently. You listen now. Alex stood quietly for a moment. It was a simple sentence, but it carried more meaning than any business agreement he had ever signed. The man who once believed everyone around him wanted something had learned that sometimes the person with the least power could be the one protecting him the most. And the little girl everyone overlooked became the person who reminded an entire family that truth does not need a title, a fortune, or a position to matter.